This video will contain spoilers for 7.0 Dawntrail, though not as much as this landmass expansion has spoiled itself. All the same, discretion is advised. As far back as the climax of Endwalker, the developers have been teasing the Golden City. It sat at the core of Dawntrail's narrative, so much so that the entire plot of the Secession Rite involved finding the damn thing. It was always meant to be Dawntrail's climax, its finale. Which is why it's a major disappointment that living memory, the Golden City, was hands down the most boring, drawn out, and pointless zone in the entire game. That's not an exaggeration, it was pointless. Everything but our final fight, who was an abomination of writing quality herself, did not serve a purpose. It is that stupid.
Oh, I see. I thought... Man, sometimes I'm so dumb.
I felt it was important to hammer in that last nail right off the bat so everybody understands what a travesty this game is. We spend our time in living memory wandering around shutting down these terminals, deleting the endless. I've ranted aplenty about how murdering these people was beyond conventional notions of fucked up, an oddly controversial claim, for some reason. I won't waste time repeating myself. We murdered these people, fuck yourselves. Nah though. The issue lies in the action itself. Why are we doing this? Shutting down the terminals does nothing to hinder Sphne's plans to fuse Alexandria with the Source, nor prohibits her desire to harvest people's souls. It does not weaken her, it does not distract her from the interdimensional fusing, nor does it coax her into unlocking the meso-terminal early to stop us. But that isn't even the worst part. No. Consider what happens after we defeat Sphne. Living Memory shuts down almost entirely. They're running out of souls to keep the realm functioning. Without their queen, Living Memory is as good as dead. Again, defeating Sphne would have accomplished the same results as us running around shutting down the terminals ourselves. Meaning, all of this, every moment between our initial confrontation with Sphne and finally accessing the meso-terminal is complete filler. The final zone of the game, a place Square has been teasing us with for literal years, and they made 99% of its content complete, pointless filler. Dawntrail in a nutshell, folks. What a fucking inspiration. What the hell were they thinking? It's the climax of the game, the center focus for much of the narrative. Finding the Golden City. What is the Golden City? Where is the Golden City? Why is the Golden City? Who gives a fuck? All this hype, and they gave us the equivalent of a rough draft for the final product. Think about it. Reuniting with Namika. Pointless. Not to mention its yet more story focused on Wook, something Dawntrail already has too much of. And after 7.1, they chose to double down on the furry twat. The hits just keep on coming. Otis and his PTSD serves no point, here or out in the real world. Yeah, his real-world counterpart, the robot, died protecting Sphne, even though Sphne can simply inhabit a new machine if she's damaged. Meaning Otis here, and also here in Living Memory, died for absolutely nothing. Genius work, writers. Cahciau's parents. These two were one of the only decent moments in the game. Not like that's worse shit since Cahciau received virtually zero development, and right after she flips her parents' switch, Cahciau returns to her neutral state of importance. So this area barely had any relevance outside of exposition dumping. Oh yeah, the garden area with Aaronville's mom? I've given up trying to say her name. Also, pointless. Bit of an enigma this one, or just bad writing. It's probably bad writing. I'm curious, why is it she never dissipates with the others when the terminal shuts down? Now she says it's because she's linked to the fourth and final terminal, and she does dissipate after we shut down that one too, but why only her? We don't see the other endless stick around afterwards. Every zone is a ghost town. The only NPCs left are those needed to access the ether currents, which is a headache I'm not even going to try and tackle. Let me be clear, I'm not angry that there was a loophole. I'm annoyed this nuance wasn't exploited more. Everybody else in every single zone is wiped when the terminals shut down. Do these people not wander into other areas? Are they all cordoned off from each other? Why is she the exception? Think of how the story would have gone if there were some residents from different zones when we pulled a plug in the theme park area, or the volcano segment. People who were terrified and confused. This is something that was never meant to happen. It would be like Armageddon from their perspective. Hell, find us someone who existed during the storm surge the war Sphne talks about, that we see a bit of in the final dungeon. It would have made some great world building if nothing else. It was a wasted exception that exists for no reason besides she is our guide, and our guide getting Thanos snapped mid-journey would be inconvenient for the script. The one and only concern to those in charge, clearly.
Shut up, audience! You're ruining my play!
Also, the fuck is with her voice? This bothered me perhaps more than it should have. Everybody else in Tyrol sounds ethnic. They sound like they're from the regions in question. Some voice acting is better than others.
People will live together in happiness!
Very obviously. But Aaron's MILF mommy here sounds like she could be my neighbor right here in the States. I know the woman traveled a lot, but it's also clear she never really ventured outside of Tyrol. Though adults are rather adapted to their speech patterns, I doubt traveling abroad would have altered her accent. Aaronville's hasn't. It feels like she was thrown in at the last minute because the writers didn't know how else to structure the final act. And when in doubt, exposition dump your way to completion. Can't go wrong with that, except all the ways you can go wrong with that, which are numerous. Seriously, you had all kinds of voice actors doing different parts. Get one of them to cover this twat. She stands out, it's inconsistent, it shows lack of care. Why the hell should anybody else care when you obviously didn't? This problem seems easily avoidable. Apathy is the only excuse I can sensibly think of. What's worse is, there's no discourse with this woman. Aaronville stands off to the side looking moody the whole time. Not without reason, mind you. His mother is asking us to self-destruct the whole joint, herself included. It's a lot to take in. But beyond that, nobody really challenges her. When she asks us to delete the endless, when she wants to take one last flying animal ride before we delete her, whenever she wanders off so the next section of the game can proceed with minimal interference. This broad does whatever she wants and faces no opposition. Not unlike the furry twat. It's all vindictive of Dawntrail's larger issue with treating our main cast like NPCs, bar the few moments they're allowed to shine. The twins are non-entities. Cahciau is completely overlooked, it's borderline criminal. Aaronville, another new character, doesn't get to do anything but narrate the tale. Similar to the previous expansion, it was one of the few neat elements of Endwalker hearing M itself introduce in new areas, especially Garlemald. But that was a person we had grown fond of through clever writing and development. Aaronville is a moody motherfucker, with only thin bits of character strewn in to make it feel like he's not just standing around. And why the hell does he carry that backpack everywhere? Dude, we're just hanging around, put it down. What is wrong with you? Deeper interactions with his mother could have mended some of these issues, but no. They chose to double down on not giving a damn. She does whatever she wants, and he mopes like a hormonally imbalanced teenager. The writers cared nothing for any of the characters besides Wook, which we have already concluded was 14's single greatest hit and miss.
If you even think of tormenting my people again, you will answer to me.
Please just die. This problem extends even to us, the player character. I know Dawntrail defenders argue there's nothing wrong with us being relegated to the sidelines a bit. We needn't always be the center of attention, but when that trend is constant, when you don't get a say in anything, zero agency, you aren't really experiencing anything. All the major moments are about Wook, and Wook again, and Wook yet a fucking again. There's nowhere for us to be inserted into the story, leaving you feeling empty, static, bored. You are 100% a passive observer in your own tale. It's no wonder many players are feeling disillusioned lately. It's why the game feels so empty. Not verbatim. There's so few players logging in lately. I've never seen it so barren. 14 tends to suffer from player drops in the long months between story patches, but never on this sort of scale. Even members of my own FC are seldom online. That has never happened in all the years I've known them. And it's because there's nothing for us to feel immersed in. We're hardly participants in our own game. The right itself showed we had no agency in whether or not we wanted to get involved. This isn't like other plots in the series. It isn't like the final days returning or ending the flood of light. Tyrol was a blank slate in which we had zero investment in, forcing us to take center stage in a serious political situation in a country we didn't know shit or dick about, full-heartedly backing a person we had barely gotten to know. That was a complete betrayal of the players' values, determination, and free will. These have been pivotal elements not just of 14, but the Final Fantasy franchise in general. Yet we have none of that here. There wasn't even a real attempt to convince us this story might be worthwhile. We had a whole one-half story patch to set up Tyrol. It was forced. More than any major storyline in 14, Dawntrail imposed us into a situation it had not earned. And up through 7.1, it still hasn't earned anything. Not the end results, not the emotions it mimics. This entire narrative is a house of cards. The slightest pressure and the whole thing collapses. So why should anybody give a damn when it's obvious this world isn't meant for them? It's for the new characters, or character, apparently. It's for the writers who created her, not us. This is an ongoing problem in many circles within popular culture. Once beloved franchises are circling the drain because they're being bought out by companies that don't understand or don't care what it was that made them so beloved to begin with, turning them into something they were never meant to be until nobody even wants it, gaming included. I recently ventured outside of FF14 to bash Diablo 4 for its many shallow, repetitive elements, and how these ludicrous repeats deprive us of progress needed to make the world something worth delving into. It's almost worse than making it something the series isn't. It's doing nothing with it at all. It's terrible. Good lord, I'm nearly 3 pages into this rant and everything is a pile of cinders, from the characters to the plot, which calling what we do in living memory a plot is extremely generous. Everything is wrong. Everything is wasteful. Let's fix this shitmire, shall we? Our purpose in living memory needs a full revamping. I suggest a two-pronged approach. Firstly, Sphne's actions throughout the Solution 9 segments needs to change. Despite her being the one to spearhead much of what transpires, she's treated more as an observer than an active participant. Yet simultaneously, Sphene acts against her own interests repeatedly. Not only does she not harvest the people in Shaloni, where the initial breaches formed, only adding to the population's burdens, the burdens this whole dimensional fusion fiasco is meant to rectify. The story tries to argue she lacks conviction to follow through on such horrible acts, which is why she opts to erase her personality and living memory to ensure she never strays from doing what's necessary. But that was also pointless. She had a proxy to carry out these atrocities for her, through Zorolja. Beyond possessing the interdimensional key, he had the ruthlessness she required to massacre innocents, to get his war in exchange for her collecting souls. It seemed like a mighty sweet pairing given their ambitions, though Zoral was a total dick. If only he had more than 3 minutes of development, he might have been a more compelling villain too. But they fucked that up too. Because the instant we enter Alexandria, Sphene works against Zorolja, aiding us in trying to stop him. She couldn't bring herself to harm others, understandable. Given she's the reconstituted memories of a long-dead person in digital form, embodied in machinery, I could actually buy into that the memories limit her abilities. It's not too different from the AI in Red vs. Blue, mainly Leonard Church. He's a memory fragment based off of a real person. It's a neat little comparison. What does not work is that she went through the troubles of getting a workaround through the lizard fucker here, just to turn against him the literal first chance the script gave her. We arrive, and she immediately warms up to us. Now, she argues it's due to Zoral being unhinged and unaligned to Alexandria's interests. Yet when we confront Zorolja next, Sphene willingly stands beside him, against us, after spending literal hours of gameplay working against him, with us. It is profoundly stupid how they went about this. Sphene's actions contradict her goals time after time. If we focus strictly on the writer's motivations, it's clear they wanted to develop a bond between Wook and Sphene, because that's what the story needed, more of the furry twat. Which is my official name for her now. I will be using it again, and often. That and provided a prominent figure to explain the inner workings of Solution 9, as well as having reasonable means of putting us in Zorolja's path. With these motivations, I see where they're coming from. Narratively, Sphene has a mental disorder no psychiatrist in the multiverse could hope to diagnose. She's all over the place based on the plot and the whims of the writers. Nothing sensible or coherently in line with the story. Whether or not she had it in her to hurt innocents is irrelevant because of Zorolja. That was his function, that was his purpose. Working against Zoral is pointless because it harms her people. I've argued before that her conspiring against him probably made it all the easier for Zoral to turn on Solution 9 in the first place. Again, meaning Sphene made things worse in a situation that was easily avoidable. Something made obvious when she sides with him right here during the second assault on Turol, defeating the whole point of befriending us in the first place. I take it back, her writing isn't a mess. It's a shitstorm of biblical proportions. Not even God and the 10 plagues can measure up to Dawntrail's incompetent writing.
Hey, Almighty, Cannon, some of us are trying to get a little shut up.
What I propose is we make Sphene more of a manipulator. Not outright evil, but someone who has been pushed to desperation and thus conspires multiple parties to serve her interests. Indeed, her essence, her programming, whatever we're calling it, keeps Sphene from harming people directly, but she has her wits and centuries of leadership to draw from. So when Zoral arrives on her doorstep demanding satisfaction for his warmongering, she sees an opportunity, a patsy to fulfill her goals and letting her own hands stay clean, in a manner. Our initial interactions with her and Alexandria will remain much the same. The breaches formed in Shaloni. The first attack on Tuliolo is devastating. Though if memory serves, I think they said only around 50-some people were killed. I couldn't find anything verifying that, please correct me if I'm wrong. Still, it doesn't sound like a lot. They should have upped that a bit. Shit, Rogor's reach was more horrific than this, and that's without Tron-level technology involved. Earn the hype, damn it. That and we can still have Sphene surveying the slaughter just like before. I do think this sets a stage for her mindset, a ruler pushed to desperation, not a monster by default. Our interactions in Solution 9 can also remain much the same. Sphene's tactics are subtle, there's no need to get brash when Zorolja can handle that role just fine. Everything plays out the same until Zorolja's death, and then she makes her big reveal. Only instead of an empty speech about consuming the world to save her people after failing to follow through multiple times, all this was part of her plan, to reclaim the interdimensional key and assume total control of Alexandria's military, now bolstered by Zorolja's leadership and training. Also in this version, the Turali do not push back the hyper-advanced robot army like this. That was childish. Treat your threat like a threat. Instead, the defenses are indeed holding, which slows the assault's progress. Instead of Wook fighting Zoral, because fuck's sake, I'm tired of looking at her, we get involved. Zorolja could have done some research during the secession, right, and learned of who we are, what we've accomplished. The warrior who slayed gods and world enders alike. We can strike fear in him. We can taunt him, tease his inadequacies, push him to overreact. We did so with Cahciau, why not here as well? It can easily be enough to make him snap, causing him to turn on Alexandria. So back to his defeat, Sphene explains that she had used us to kill Zerul. Unknown to him, she had included a workaround regarding his position as king, a protocol that dictated if Zerul ever slayed Alexandrian blood, he forfeits his control. And instead of kingship going to his son, full power and control returns to her. He loses control of his military here, and Zerul is forced to go on the run. He can still usurp the city's dwindling supply of souls. His boss fight was pretty badass. Let's not deprive ourselves of some fun. And somehow I doubt this dude read the terms and agreements when accepting the role of king. Sphene very easily could have played him the fool. But she couldn't have manipulated him without our help. Her befriending us was again a manipulation, to make us proxies to do the dirty work. With the army in her control, she endeavors to lay the full might of Alexandria onto Tyrol. With the key, she's everything needed to fulfill her desires. She does apologize to us, to Wook. She truly wishes to have met us under better circumstances, a time where a true friendship could have bloomed. But such daydreams are gone and buried. This is reality, and Tyrol will pay the price for her people's survival, to strengthen them, and then the rest of Atheris shall follow. She departs, informing us that we haven't long to prepare. Once we return to the city, it's obvious that the defenses were worn down in the second assault. With the third attack imminent, the city stands no chance of holding out. And with Tuliolo gone, the rest of the continent will fall as well. Sphene lacked any sense of dominance in the game. She was passive up until they thrusted her into the ultimate villain spot, and she did not sell it.
But I can still take up arms and fight.
If I had a quarter for every tough gal preaching about standing and fighting in recent years, I could finance my own MMO. Spoilers? I want the developers from Stellar Blade on my team. I'm not explaining that, and I'm sure as hell not apologizing either. In this revamped version, Sphene is more manipulative, not forceful in her tactics. A subtle player, the Long Kong is her specialty. It makes her more menacing, an active player in this game of worlds colliding. It makes us wary of what other tricks she may employ. She's the final antagonist. What we need is for Sphene to be a genuine threat rather than the moody, snarling chihuahua we got in Dawntrail. Yeah, sure, she might try to nip at you, but so what? One kick and she's 3 neighborhoods over. You'll be fine. It's perfectly acceptable to make Sphene sympathetic. Again, the goal is not to make her a monster, it's to make her someone worth taking seriously. We can relate to her troubles, her desires. Needhogg in Heavensward was sympathetic, a creature driven mad by grief, and now only rage sustains him. Emmett Selk. Do I really need to explain? No, I don't think so. But both these opponents were dangerous, powerful, threatening. Sphene needs to be the same, so we're not wasting our time on some bullshit kid-friendly adventure. We spent our time in living memory with very little urgency. The dimensional fusion is meant to be dangerous, yet it's never reflected on while we're reenacting a shitty player walking around the poor man's Central Park. The situation was so obscure, many people, me included, forgot that was even going on in the background. It's ridiculous the disregard they had for their own work. The writers were still trying to frame Dawntrail as a fun little vacation while setting up world-ending stakes. It led to neither sentiment landing as both contradict each other. In this version, the machine army will dominate the fight, slowly but surely. We can see the battle's progress reflect during our journey. Perhaps Living Memory's defenses are bolstered the further we travel, suggesting that its energy reserves are replenishing, meaning that more Tyroli are being slaughtered. It would be a constant reminder of the stakes. It would also be a far better excuse for the Scions not being present. Rather than them watching the fucking door. Great hustle, guys. These are the people who saved the universe, remember that. God help us all. No, with the assault ongoing, the Scions will remain in Tuliolo to shore up the defenses. If you're short on the budget and can't show big action scenes, that's fine. Just a few moments of our allies fighting a losing battle, something to remind us of what we're up against. That would be enough. Between Sphene being a competent schemer pulling the strings and the Tron army remaining a legitimate concern, we have all the motivation needed to face off against her at the Meso Terminal as soon as physically possible. A legit timetable to work with. An enemy worthy of our endeavors. You know, it's almost as though stories possess these sorts of elements for good reasons. Who would have fucking thought?
Come on, overwhelming odds with little to no chance of success. How could we resist?
That, though, is just one half of the issue. Our travels through living memory are every bit dull and unproductive. Let's be honest, shutting down the terminals is both ethically deplorable and a waste of our time, as we established at the start of the video, so that bullshit's gotta go. Instead, after making clear her intentions when we confront her for the first time at the Meso Terminal, Sphene tries to banish us from the zone, but laments that she lacks sufficient power to do so, not until she resupplies her stockpile of souls. Instead, she pushes us back to the entrance. Here, the entirety of living memory reshapes. The Meso Terminal is cut off. and every zone we visit in the game must now be traveled one after the other to reach the tower. We could turn the map into a spiral, twisting further into the interior. This forces us to travel through living memory with genuine purpose, rather than manufactured drama and mass murder. Fuck you, I stand by that. All to reach Sphene before her plans are enacted. We can have similar adventures as the original version. We can meet Namika. Annoying as that got, it's fine. Let the furry twat have some closure with her mother figure. It's not like she still has a father out there eager and willing to form a relationship with her, if they were wise, which they're not. The end of each area needed a boss battle. Nothing too hectic, just some enemy spawns to make it look like this place has anything amounting to proper security. Of all the dumb-ass fumbles, leaving the terminals unguarded with zero protocols to keep them safe was beyond moronic. This game dragged out so many zones, so many plot points nobody gave a rat's ass about. Yet living memory couldn't even get a few drone spawns to prove this area was meant to be taken seriously. How difficult could that have been? Give each zone a security protocol, enemy spawns, a few time instances we need to complete. Sphene risked everything to preserve this place. Let it be worth something. This is supposed to be an action-oriented game, is it not? Honestly, most of the zones in living memory were completely botched. The theme park area wasn't any better. The only substantial bit was with Otis and his PTSD, and that was very brief. Everything else, including this mediocre play we put on, was more filler. Cringy filler at that.
I am killed!
See, I know they were trying to be cute with this, but Wuklama is genuinely an irritating little shit stain. This wasn't a case of having fun with the situation, it was an epiphany about the nature of this character, her shit writing, shit acting. I doubt the writers were consciously aware this scene was a case of truth in advertisement. The bulk of Dawntrail felt like this. $15 a month for this rancid shit heap.
Alas, I am tripped!
There was real opportunity to have fun with this place. Solution 9 is a technological marvel with modernities neither Alec nor Garlemald possessed. Let us adapt those modern luxuries into this more medieval setting. Instead of a cringe cheesy as fuck play, let's see a light show, holographics, animation, something to truly make Sphene's death feel alive. Oddly enough, we hear much about the Storm Surge, the war that ravaged Alexandria centuries ago. Let's get some more flashbacks, violence, drama, all those sell points. We see some of the aftermath of such events in the Alexandria dungeon. Let's expand on that by including some moments here during the reenactment. It could tie some storylines together visually rather than narratively. Dawntrail is weighed down by too much talking as is.
Hey, look, they're just standing there and talking, okay?
Even by FF14 standards.
That's all they're doing. That's all they ever do is just stand there and talk.
And we still get Otis's shell shock moment. We can talk with him, let him know the world and the people he fought to defend still exists. At least in this regard, his actions weren't for nothing. As for us erasing him here and live in memory, let the man live. He'll be useful later, you'll see. Honestly, the Volcano Zone was the only decent story. Cryle's parents, that bit was fine. We get some new lore about Alexandria and the interdimensional key's origins. I'm a huge sucker for lore, I won't lie, as long as it logically follows. So, nothing related to the Golden City. See my Rite of Secession video on how piss poorly that went. But otherwise, these scenes work. It's emotional, mired with an awkwardness none of these characters can easily shake off. They are all in a situation none of them ever anticipated. And as much as Cryle and her parents have long dreamt for the opportunity to speak with each other, the reality is they're strangers. That's not an easy gap to bridge. Luckily, Graha breaks the ice for them, and the happy trio warm up to one another. We get a heartfelt farewell as Cryle starts to tear up. All of this is pretty great. It's terribly short, however, and only serves as a stark reminder of just how wasted Cryle's potential was. And based on 7.1, it's obvious that the developers are tripling down on their lack of fucks to give regarding her. It's a tragedy, is what it is. What's more, in this revised version, we do not murder the entire populace. So Cryle doesn't have to have a heartwarming moment just to unalive both of her parents for the sake of narrative completion. Yeah, that kind of spoiled the moment if we're being honest. Not good. You know, if anything, NPCs like her parents should have been vital in navigating living memory. In the game, every person we meet exists only to apply a bit of catharsis, some emotional beats, some of which aren't even remotely earned, and then we delete them. They don't supply us with anything, no vital tools or information in our struggle with Sphene. Again, the entirety of living memory is filler, so nothing we do with most of these people means anything outside of tugging your heartstrings a bit. It's shallow. The writers wanted to feign importance because they couldn't be bothered to make anything meaningful here. It's manipulative. Instead, let them be a part of our journey getting through living memory. Each area we unlock leaves us at square one, and we must find creative workarounds to slip through the security systems. And the people, upon learning of Sphene's plans, could aid us in this goal. Think of it like Ultima Thule, where the Scions one by one sacrifice themselves to forge a path towards the Endsinger, only without some Deus Ex Machina bullshit allowing us to summon everybody back. That was dumb and it ruined any investment I had left in the game by that point. Applying this to Living Memory, it would have been a fantastic arc for Otis to serve once more, fighting by our side to access the next area. He can come to terms that this fiend in control now is not the generous woman he once swore to protect. Or if we want to stir up the drama, this Otis can actually turn against us when he realizes the harm we'll bring to her. It'd be heartfelt for sure, but Living Memory tried hard to make us feel all tender-like and usually failed with how senseless the progression was. This version, fighting and perhaps killing Otis for good, would resonate more strongly with people. The point is, we have options on how this could be handled. Now, Cahciau's parents in particular have intimate knowledge most residents of Living Memory couldn't possibly possess, making them key allies in our efforts to stop Sphene. They could understand the area's innermost workings. They may well be able to help us skip through some of the more difficult areas, bringing us to the precipice of the Meso Terminal. Again, we keep all the moments Cahciau has with them. Those are great. Just intermix them with progressing our way through the labyrinth Sphene created, and we're set. Forcing us to go through a goddamn museum exhibit to get exposition was a colossal pain. It was insulting. Perhaps if everything in Dawntrail wasn't such a borehole, it wouldn't have been an issue. But Dawntrail was a complete borehole. There's no getting away from that. This would also be a chance to add more depth through her parents and their very brief interactions with Cahciau, working alongside their daughter and getting to see how she's grown up, how intelligent and capable she is, recognizing that she has friends she can depend on. All this happening in unison, allowing her parents to move on in genuine peace. Not just meeting their daughter, but realizing she's going to be just fine. What any parent would want for their child. There was real quality to be found in this section of the game, and thus the tragedy continues. Honestly, I don't even know what to fucking say about this garden area. It's pretty, sure enough, until we delete the server. Now everything's ugly. That's another gripe I'll never get over. Living Memory was hands down the most visually stunning zone in the game, and its plot involves erasing all of it. Some people in the comments have theorized we'll find a new power source to bring the area back to life. A nice concept, one that probably should have been mentioned in-game, but one that also disrupts much of what our time here tries to accomplish. Reflecting on the nature of life, on letting these people go. All those emotions were hardly earned as is. To invalidate them like that would be the final nail in the coffin. One of a great many Dawntrail has made for itself. This place is a mausoleum thanks to us, let's not forget that. Trying to remedy the endless getting deleted will make our time here completely, irrevocably pointless. Anyways, this place? Fuck this place. We did nothing productive here.
Hey. Yeah? You ever wonder why we're here?
The whole part should either be cut or fused with another zone. Or take what I suggested about Cahciau's parents helping us skim parts of the map. This could be a secret area that we only unlock once the main game has been completed. Because we're not wiping the whole damn server in this version, we can canonically come back and enjoy the sites a bit more, at least for a little while, ideally. But let's not forget, all this was meant for one goal: reach the terminal and stop Sphene. And so we do before the interdimensional fusing has commenced. There's still time. You know, in hindsight, facing a technologically advanced system like this, it would have been nice to bring a few of our more tech-savvy scions along. Having one or two of them around would make accessing Sphene's domain far more convenient. We wouldn't have to wait until the fusion is prepared. It's far more proactive, something the game should inspire in its players, not standing around and talking.
That's all they ever do.
Nonetheless, we break in and face off against her, just like before, except...
Sphene! Listen to me!
Okay, this moment, it goes. Kill it with fire, hydrochloric acid, chuck it into a fuck-mothering black hole to suffer a cosmic level death because sweet holy hell this moment was fucking embarrassing. Wook stealing the final fight from us was peak arrogance. You created this new character, threw them in our faces, demanded we love them, make them the bestest ever, and everything a likable person should be, which is a guarantee to make your character extremely unlikable. Hey, real question, did Square hire any writers from Lucasfilm for this expansion? Because Wook certainly feels like the poster child for that company given their recent productions. No, Wook does not interrupt our fight in the revamped version. Instead, after the trial ends, Sphene finds herself running out of energy. She's desperate, angry. She refuses to give up on her people, not when she's finally so close. The fusion is beginning. We can see the effects from all across Tyrol. The earth shaking, the sky darkening. The dome in Shaloni can start expanding as the process begins, driving home the horror of what's about to take place. Even if we kill her now, it won't stop the process. Alexandria will live on. I like the idea that it isn't us who forces her to give up, but not Wook either. It's the Endless, led by Aaronville's mother. They congregate on the tower, realizing what's happening, that their beloved queen has gone mad. They unite and surround the Meso Terminal, crying out for her to listen, to hear them. They want her to stand down. These people have been granted a utopia, a chance to be with loved ones again, but not at the expense of others. Not if mass murder is the only answer. The tragedy of the storm surge led to this world's creation. History shouldn't have to be repeated just to maintain it. All the people we meet along our path join in confronting Sphene. It's them, not Wook and her bullshit, that convinces the last vestiges of Sphene's conscience to surrender and halt the expansion. It's the Endless who end the threat, not us, and definitely not Wook. This makes all of our travels substantive, vital to the finale. A little cheesy perhaps, but compared to this?
Sphene! Listen to me!
I argue it's fucking Oscar-worthy. Then Wook and the others are released. She and Sphene can still have a tender moment. They had some intriguing parallels, I won't deny that. Let them have a few moments before Sphene goes offline for good. Let the Endless see her fade away, thankful that her people were the decent, loving folk she had always cherished, right up until the end. Then she is gone, and living memory comes to terms that its time is very limited. Here, we can either hold off on the city going offline for a later patch, or with the Queen's death, they too fade away as a whole of living memory shuts down. I suggest this for the finale, not just to give Wook Lamal the shaft, which he absolutely deserves. I've been looking back on it more and more since 7.0 ended. This channel has torn every facet of the storyline apart, dissecting the issues. Of all the problems with how we handle the Endless, it was the fact that they were never given a choice in the matter that's bothered me the most. We didn't explain what Sphene was doing, never asked the people here if they were willing to let innocents die to maintain this simulated utopia of theirs. Aaron's mother never discusses it with them either. It was a decision made without their input, and we enacted the plan without considering their feelings. We treated these people like a rather massive NPCs destined for the dumpster, and did so with zero hesitation. Whether you consider the Endless to be alive or are just programmed ones and zeros, that was mighty fucked of us. This revised method lets the residents decide for themselves how it'll end, and it provides them with a direct relationship with Sphene. There's so much reverence for her, yet nobody besides one or two interactions in Solution 9 allows this direct connection. This way, we will see more than just hear them, and it allows the residents of living memory to pass on with closure, rather than getting shot back of the head execution style, as was the case in the original version. And this furry twat does not steal our final fight from us. I will never not be pissed about that bullshit. And there you go, folks. A revised living memory, where Sphene is not an incompetent dipshit who makes absolutely everything worse for herself with every decision, standing on the sidelines like a helpless damsel until the opportune moment to go queen bitch on us. The armies of Alexandria remain a viable threat through the living memory zone, constantly reminding us of the risks if we fail our mission. And the residents of the simulated afterlife are treated like goddamn people, and are given the power to end their ruler's madness rather than being relegated to mass deletion, making one wonder why the hell we wasted time with these people in the first place. Fucking everything I just said makes it obvious what a colossal waste of space this segment of the game was. A segment that, I need to remind everybody watching, was the central plot of the entire game. As things stand now, they should have just skipped it and spared our gaming consoles the additional storage space. Alright, I'm tired, pissed off, and need a nap. I'm gonna go do that. Like and subscribe if you like what you saw, leave comments below, add your own version of events. There are plenty of better ideas than this garbage. I'll see you all in the next one. Till then.